Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, Dana Brooke brings a shoot-to-a-work fight in her war of words with Corey Graves.
The next Brock Lesnar debuts on NXT 2.0.
Surprise, surprise, WWE's interest in Britt Baker was not mutual.
And a rookie is going to challenge for the NXT Championship at Halloween Havoc. I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news.
Right, we're going to kick things off by talking about a thing that went down on Raw that has kind of escalated a little bit since then. Corey Graves had some rather pointed comments for one Dana Brooke, didn't she? Dana was getting fired into Shayna Baszler in what was eventually a squash loss. She lost in like 80 seconds.
Yeah,
it was kind of
a former UFC fighter.
Yeah, it's probably not the wisest in-ring strategy. During this match, Corey Graves had some pretty pointed criticisms for Ms. Brooke, saying the following. I'm all for giving people time to develop and time to realize their potential, but on a long enough timeline, you gotta cut your losses. You can give me a chest full of tools, that doesn't mean I can build you a house, okay? It's a matter of putting things together, and Dana Brooke, in my opinion, hasn't exactly done that. So Dana Brooke responded to this via her Instagram story. There's a lot of emojis and stuff in here, but I'll transcribe it as best I can, saying, "You cannot entertain everything, regardless of if it's indirect or direct. Let people do what they do best. Talk. Y'all act like y'all gonna die because somebody said something about you. It's not that deep. You cannot stop and throw stones at every dog that barks." Don't throw stones at dogs.
No.
That's bad behavior, Dana. Once you entertain a clown, you become one. You the clown, I'm the queen. I keep pushing through. Watch me work. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. I think a lot of people looked at these Corey comments and went, hey, that's a shoot. But to me, it kind of came across more as a heel announcer, like being a heel announcer and trying to say that, like, you know, Dana's here, but there are other people on the board who would probably be better pickups for my brand.
Yes.
Corey Graves. Whether or not that's a helpful thing for him to be saying on TV is another debate entirely. But I think a few people got worked into a shoot by this yesterday. And here we are today. Dana blasting back. Is this leading to a WrestleMania match between Dana Brooke and Corey Graves? Probably, but who knows? Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, Corey Graves is a knobhead on comedy.
Yeah, he's a belter.
Let's be perfectly honest. Whether that's in character or out of character, who are we to know? But yeah, it did seem a little bit weird because, like you say, me and Sid were talking about this on the Raw review yesterday. Dana Brooke is generally considered by everyone within WWE to be one of the hardest workers, one of those first there, last to leave, and she's a lovely person. She's trying hard. She's been with the company for what, like eight years now?
8 years.
It does seem weird that they would suddenly just give her both barrels when we all knew, like, if I'd been pitching, for example, who Shayna Baszler should be fed this week, it would have been someone like Dana Brooke. Because you look at everyone else and they're like in the title picture, or then it just makes sense that there's nothing going on right now for Dana Brooke. She had that sort of run at the tag titles for a bit, and then Mandy Rose fell over at WrestleMania.
And that was that.
So, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot really else you can say. I hope that this isn't creating an awkward atmosphere from backstage, but yeah, Corey does it all the time. I mean, imagine if Byron Saxton reacted like that every time Corey jumped down his throat.
Byron Saxton shooting on Instagram. Yeah, no, like, I completely agree. And, like, in kayfabe terms, like, totally in character, Dana is a lower ranked wrestler on the roster. So, believably, somebody would be like, hey, this person's on this level on the card, but there are people up here who are still available. There you go. Yeah,
I don't necessarily like the way he went about it, but in terms of getting people's attention off Dana Brooke and going, look at Shayna Baszler, she's a big deal, and she's about to be drafted, of course, in and around that match. It was kind of effective, although I'm really not excited about this Shayna Baszler match that seems to be heading our way, even though they're now on separate brands, although not yet, because we have to wait till after Crown Jewel. What a load of bollocks. Anyway, let's talk about the best show of the week, NXT 2.0, because last night we saw yet another debut. Keep them coming. We'll get to the best one in a little bit, though. The arrival of Parker Boudreaux. You may remember we've reported on him quite a few times as being described as the next Brock Lesnar. He's bloody massive, basically.
He's huge.
And you couldn't miss him standing in the crowd, well, especially because he had a spotlight on him, following Joe Gacy's match. Now, Joe Gacy, if you're not aware, is a safe space sort of wrestler.
That's
the way of describing him. He comes out, he talks about safe spaces and getting triggered and stuff like that. It's
I like Joe Gacy a lot, but this gimmick ain't it, is it?
It's a whole thing. I mean, it got cancelled after the first week and then brought back when the advertisers weren't looking, apparently. Anyway, he's now, Parker Boudreaux he's now named Harland. He's got a shaved head. Andy pointed out he looks more like Snitsky than Brock Lesnar now. And he stared daggers or just lifeless eyes, some might say, at Joe Gacy following his match. But I sense big things are to come for him. I said to you, this in Vince's eyes is just like Deacon Batista.
Yeah, you'd imagine that WWE would have big plans for this guy, given that Paul Heyman has spoken him up in the past, and Paul Heyman himself has drawn that line between Harland and Brock Lesnar. He's drawn that line himself in the past, called him the next big thing, all of this stuff. So for me, a more apt comparison. Do you remember when Enzo Amore was fannying around with getting his head shaved, and he had a hair versus hair match with the Legionnaires, and Sylvester Lefort had that weird skinny mate who ended up getting his head shaved and like hung out in the top of NXT like a little goblin. Like, that might be a really obscure reference, but that's who it reminded me. Yeah, this little creep just going every week, this bald guy. I hate bald people. I've always hated bald people.
Yeah, do you think Parker Boudreaux suits the bald look? I saw him with a sort of very Brock Lesnar, early Brock Lesnar, has a short haircut when he first signed.
It's not a good look. No. I don't think it suits him. So aesthetically, it's not the greatest start for this guy, but obviously you don't write a guy off based on him having a haircut. No. So we'll see how it gets along.
I can't wait to see him chuck people around in the ring.
Yeah, I hope he's just a badass.
He's a former American football player, isn't he? He's like 300 pounds. He's going to do...
Yeah, he's 6'4".
He's going to be perfect for Vince.
Absolutely.
He'll book him well, don't worry about that.
Big, beefy boys. Britt Baker, let's talk about Britt
Alliteration
Baker.
There, I like
that.
There
you go. She has done an interview with Misha Tate. And who on earth is Renee Paquette? There we go. How could you forget Renee Paquette? She's done an interview on their podcast talking about a bunch of different things. Now, recently, of course, Adam Cole was a guest on Oral Sessions with Renee, revealing that
Did
WWE...
they talk about babies?
Maybe.
Sorry, I'm really sorry. I've ruined you.
It's the worst. It's the worst time I've ever been alive. But yeah, Adam Cole was on...
Oral Sessions. Come on, we can still power on through it. Adam Cole was on Oral Sessions. He talked about the fact that Britt Baker had been approached by WWE, and in shocking news, Andy, this feeling wasn't reciprocated.
There you go. Thank you for saving this segment. So Britt commented on this on Throwing Down, which is the show that Renee does with Misha Tate, and said the following of WWE's interest. It's no secret. Adam has already said it. The cat is out of the bag, and I'm not going to get in trouble. WWE was definitely poking the bear a little bit through him recently when I was still with AEW. Hey, we're interested in her. Without teetering the line of contract tampering, they definitely let me know that they had interest in me, but it wasn't a mutual thing. I'm very happy with AEW and thankful for the opportunities, and this is where I want to stay. So no great surprise there. She signed a new AEW contract, of course, end of August, beginning of September. Britt Baker did. She's been treated very well there. She's the women's world champion. She's really taken off with this heel persona, and also being in AEW allows her to continue doing the dentistry as well, which is her other career. She's probably one of the most skilled and the hardest working people in 2 disciplines on the entire planet. Yes, I am not surprised.
Yeah, but I'm not going to necessarily completely poo-poo this, because at the end of the day, if WWE was going to swoop in and grab an AEW talent, it'd probably be a woman as well, because they are actually better at booking a women's division than AEW is right now. Now, Britt Baker is probably the exception to that rule, but initially at the start of time in AEW, it was a bit iffy, if we're perfectly honest. She was a baby face. It all just didn't really work. And you can understand that maybe even as part of the negotiations with Adam Cole, desperately trying to keep him to stay, getting his missus into WWE would make a lot of sense. But things are looking up now for the women's division in AEW, especially looking up for someone like Britt Baker. She's got some really exciting opponents to come. She had that great match with Ruby Soho. Don't call her Ruby Riott, Adam. And it's going to be interesting to see going forward, because we've talked a lot, time and time again, about WWE people waiting for their contracts to run out, being snatched up by AEW. Not talking that much about people going the other way, but I think we're going to see more and more of this as time goes on, because they sort of have to respond to this talent exodus. Right, let's move on and talk about the NXT Championship because Braun Breaker is going to be challenging for it at Halloween Havoc. It's coming back on the 26th of October, slightly earlier than Halloween, but still we'll allow it because he's going to be challenging Tommaso Ciampa for that NXT Championship. Look, this is something that has been built to since literally episode 1 of NXT 2.0.
A whole 4 weeks.
Yeah, he came out last night to talk to Tommaso Ciampa, and Tommaso Ciampa laid down the gauntlet effectively for him. Bron Breakker accepted, but Joe Gacy, the safe space guy I was talking about earlier, if he defeats Tommaso Ciampa in a match next week, he gets added to it, making it a triple threat. I really hope he doesn't. Really hope he doesn't. I want to see Braun Breaker versus Tommaso Ciampa because, I mean, it's the start of a new era, basically, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we're still getting a feel for where people kind of sit in the hierarchy on NXT. If there is indeed a hierarchy on NXT 2.0, who the hell
Yeah,
knows?
it is. The hierarchy is, have you been here longer than 10 minutes? You're getting jobbed out.
Yeah, exactly. Are you over 30? Get the hell out of here.
Ember Moon, Oni Lorcan, need I go on?
Yeah, it continues down the line, doesn't it? The Chinese dragon, 1,000 years old.
Got 50-50.
Lost last night as well. But yeah, I mean, Braun Breaker's ace. I really love this guy. He's a lot of fun. I have no idea what he's going to be like in a longer singles match with Tommaso Ciampa.
Yes.
But Ciampa's obviously a tremendous wrestler himself. It's fresh, it's new, and it's fun.
Do you know who Bron Breakker actually reminds me of? One of the Steiner brothers, weirdly. But his name's Bron Breakker.
How did you draw that line?
No relationship there, clearly. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE. Of course, you want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from Ken on Twitter. Ken says, good morning, gents. Since the casino ladder match can end before the Joker is in it, love this fantasy booking. If Hangman is indeed the Joker, do you think the match ends before he's in it? It's cruel, yes, but perfect for his story.
It's very, very cruel. I think that if Hangman's in it, he's going to win it because this gives them the opportunity to do the title match with Kenny without having him climb the ranks again. Obviously, I appreciate that, like, another disappointment is very appropriate for his character, but it does get to the point where, well, how many disappointments are too much? So I don't necessarily think that's the worst idea. In fact, I think ending it before the Joker enters would be like a fresh piece of booking to establish that this is something that can happen. But I think if Hangman's in it, he's going to win it. The problem I have with all of these predictions for the match, the Joker, is that AEW have literally had the Joker on their roster for 10 months. Why is everyone forgetting about Sting? He's literally the Joker. It's his best run of his career, and I can't even joke about that.
I hate every casino match that AEW
they haven't been good, have they?
They're dreadful.
Yeah, they're not good.
The battle royales are just dumb. Why don't you do a roulette wheel and then you can just do numbers like the Rumble?
Yeah.
It's real simple and have the green 0, is it? I'm not a man.
They're overcomplicating it.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah. And then this, it's different that you can win it before all the pet competitors are in it. That doesn't necessarily make it better, but I agree with you. I think Hangman Page is going to be the Joker, and he's probably going to win it. And it's going to be intriguing to see how it's received because it's gone from something that we've all gone, this is going to be a wonderful, long-term story that we were all invested in. That I think it's fair to say the waters have been slightly muddied now because you've got Punk and Bryan and people like that.
These big guys.
Yeah,
these big guys.
It's intriguing, and Adam Cole obviously. Yeah. It's intriguing to see how he's received in the world title picture because I sense that having had lots of long title reigns, we could get a bit of hot potatoing of that title because you've got like MJF has to be the guy to take it off Hangman Page, and then you can have someone take it off him, and then you can have someone like Adam Cole. It's very complicated. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think it's going to be Hangman, but I don't think he's going to come out at the end and go, oh, I wish I'd come out sooner. Anyway, let's move on to a question from Gary David Watts. Gary says, so WWE debuts a stereotypical Italian-American character around the same time that The Many Saints of Newark was released in cinemas. Is that a coincidence or a deliberate timing? He's talking there, of course, of Tony D'Angelo, who debuted last night on NXT 2.0, and he crushed some schmuck, and he looked great doing it. And let me just tell you, Gary David Watts, you put some goddamn respect on Tony D'Angelo's name, or you're going to be sleeping with the fishes.
It's clearly a Sopranos gimmick.
What?
It's 100% because like he's talking about his uncle Paulie and his cousin. What was his cousin?
Sal or whatever.
I can't even remember. Richie Aprile. It was a Richie Aprile reference. He did a voice last week that sounded exactly like an annoyed Tony Soprano when he said, "Hey Tony, we got a situation." It's clearly a surprise. Waste management. Like, it's right there. I don't know if they're trying to cash in on the many states of New York, but the influences are clear. If he turns up and he's got a sidekick with a funny lip called Silvio, like, that's what it is. It's fun, however.
You'll be unsurprised to know that he is my new favourite thing in wrestling. You need to call his finisher the Schmuck Driver, and you need to have him hit a shoulder tackle, as he did last night, but he needs to say, "Hey, I'm walking here!"
Are you ready for his stable, the Gabagoons?
Please push him to... And he's really over as well. I was so happy.
He was so over. It was ridiculous. He's ridiculous.
We'll come back to him as well for the and finally. But first, we've got a final question for today from Facial Tats and Wrestling Mats, who says, all right, geezers, do you think that they were ever going to use Elias, or whoever he may be now, in the WWE, or do you think he will be let go of before the year is out? If so, where do you see him fitting in? Have a good one. You have a good one too.
He's dead. Why would they use him?
He did bury himself.
A lot of people have been sitting there going, why hasn't he appeared since the Elias is dead segments, like in August? Well, that's how being dead works.
But he got a new hat, Andy.
He died, mate.
He's got a new hat in heaven. Is that what it is?
The H stands for.
I think he's going to come back.
Yes.
But
I don't think they have a clue what they're repackaging.
He's buggered because the only person... His thing was he had a guitar, and there's a guy who does it a lot better than he does it. So
yeah, exactly. Like,
I don't know, but look at him. And then I don't see Vince going, no. They'll just repackage him.
I think they'll keep him, but I do think they're going to repackage him. But I don't think they have a clue what as.
And if he does leave, Impact, right?
Boom.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right, let's move on to today's and finally, and talk about Rick Boogs. Of course, we're talking about him. We're going to talk about him again because
Boogs
tweeted about Tony D'Angelo, the world's emerging. I saw this. Extended universe of Adam Wilborn is getting bigger and bigger right here. Eric Bugenhagen tweeted, because his name's Eric Bugenhagen still on Twitter, his handle at least, is Rick Boogs. But he's doing Tony D'Angelo's voice because I've not had enough of doing that today.
All right.
So Eric Bugenhagen tweets, this Tony D'Angelo guy's pretty sweet, huh? I can see myself lifting with him, and then we both get past there after the workout at a nice restaurant while wearing our sweaty muscle tanks and gym shorts that smell like nutsack from the heavy squats we just banged out. This needs to happen immediately.
Yeah, I don't think Artie Bucco's letting them in Vesuvius with their with their ball sack shorts, but hey, there you go. Very nice.
Honestly, this is just...
Banter collides.
I need to lie down. If anyone thinks that SmackDown or AEW Dynamite is the best wrestling TV show of the week, you're wrong. It's NXT 2.0.
Oh!
And if you disagree, you're a wise guy, you're a schmuck, and you know what? You mix with mother fishes too. Let us know your thoughts on that.
He will kill you is the implication of this.
Let us know your thoughts on that. All today's news stories in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and the Dandy Boys sitting down to review NXT 2.0 and look ahead to the anniversary episode, isn't it, of AEW Dynamite tonight. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. Watch there. Follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at...
You can follow me at Andy H. Murray. The H stands for, hey, it's Goldberg.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. He's going to kill you. He's going to kill you.
If he's lucky.
And if you're lucky, he's going to leave you dead, breathing heavily in the ring. I think that was his promo.
And sway.
Good work, Bill.
Probably sway.
Follow me, Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you, schmucks, for watching. And we will see you soon. You didn't see nothing.